All right. Hey guys, and welcome back to a podcast with no name. I'm Paris,
I'm happening.
and this is a small section of our podcast called ARD, a real discussion. And today we're moving into a brand new book. Today we are going to be talking about the book, The Four Agreements, which is not flipped for y'all, but you can figure it out. and we're this is going to be a four video section. We're going to kind of break down each agreement with you guys. Um, and so today, of course, we're going to start with number one, but we're also going to start on a brief introduction that the book gives us. Ebony, if you want to go ahead and start real quick, I just need 1 second to get some.
Wait. Okay. So the four agreements. I heard so much about this book. It was on my list for years and years and years. Then finally, a friend gave it to me, and I sat down and read it within like 4 hours. So,
Mm-hmm.
what was the opening about? Because when we was talking about it before I pressed record, I was like, "Ooh, this needs to be caught on camera," and it's something that it made me think of something.
Right. So before you go into the four agreements, he kind of talks. The very first chapter is about domestication and the dream of the new planet. And he was basically saying, us as humans, especially as children, we get domesticated into society, just like you would domesticate a pet, in that you reward good behavior and you punish bad behavior. And when he's talking about that specifically in humans and with children, it's talking about in the manner and how we function in society. So, when it comes to good manners, when it comes to what we deem acceptable within our family, within certain cultures, and that continues on with you into an adult, in that you still want those same rewards for other people. So you go out into the world looking and doing things to get rewarded. So, what accomplishments you choose to make, what profession you choose to do, um, what, even in the smallest decisions of like, you know, what you wear and how you look and all these things. All of that, truthfully, is you being domesticated into society and kind of like pushed and pulled in these directions of the world of what we deem acceptable. What were you going to add, Ebony? You said when I was talking about it earlier, you thought.
Yes, so it triggered me to it triggered me to think of this story I once read, and it was about elephants, how they train elephants. Have you heard that?
No.
So when they're baby elephants, what they do is take a chain and they tie it around the elephant ankle, and then they put a stake in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the elephant cannot go anywhere when it's a baby, right? So the first couple of months or whatever, it struggles to get out. The chain, of course, is bigger, not bigger, but has more strength in it. And so it's trying to break free, trying to break free, trying to break free, but it's not successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as the elephant continues to grow, obviously at some point, chain and a stake would not hold an elephant, right?
Mm.
But grown elephants do not run away. They have been conditioned at some point, they stop fighting, trying to get away, and then they just conditioned to believe that they're slaves. So even though they this big, huge animal, you
Mm-hmm.
can go literally tie a string around their ankle and put it on a post, a stake or something, and the elephant will not try to move
Mm-hmm.
because it's already been conditioned. Like, oh, this is bigger than me, even though it has grown up and it's at this point a million times stronger than that rope or chain. It still does not recognize its strength and seek freedom. And that's kind of, what the first chapter always reminded me of. Like, before you too young to know the strength of who you'll become, you have people who put a chain and stake around you, and you can really miss the opportunity to self-actualize.
Yeah. One of the first chapters, he says the domestication is so strong that at a certain point in our lives we no longer need anyone to domesticate us. We don't need mom or dad, the school, or the church to domesticate us. We are so well trained that we are our own domesticator. Mhm. So
Amen. We see that all the time. Like, for instance, me and you talk about it. We say, why do people argue for things that's not in their best interest? Like what I'm saying will free, whatever, whoever that's in the situation, right? It's four of us. What I'm saying will free us. But then the other three may be arguing for their conditioning. And it's like when you think about this, even throughout history, most of the time it's like, a law is nothing without the enforcers. And
mhm,
most of the time you don't even need the enforcers. We take it upon ourselves to enforce a law or enforce the laws or just to enact justice or to put somebody back in line, even when it's not even our responsibility to do that. So yeah, absolutely. There are gatekeepers in this world. And that's what it makes most people gatekeepers, because they go, who the audacity, who do you think you are to break the rules, and I'm following the rules, so I have to teach you a lesson.
yeah, that it's funny because the very next paragraph says we punish ourselves when we don't follow the rules according to our belief system. And for us, our belief system is the book of law that rules our minds. So whatever in the book of law is our truth. We base all of our judgments according to the book of law, even if those judgments go against our own inner nature. So um it's exactly what we're saying. In the domestication you get later belief system. And that's the means of what you judge any and everything, even if it's against your own
Best
what's the
interest.
word?
Best
Yeah, best
interest.
interest. Yeah. So um absolutely. So he's kind of like in the very first chapter just going over that thing of like these are the things that you've been conditioned in your mind. And excuse me. And a lot of these things that you have in your belief systems, you may not realize that they may be against your best interest, or they're constantly forcing you into a space that makes you feel uncomfortable and unauthentic.
Absolutely, we all know about that. All of us work, but we don't know why we work. If you ask people, why do you work, the two answers are, oh, I gotta survive, and I gotta pay bills. So if you don't even know why you work, of course.
Yeah. It also talks about that like um when you do decide to go ahead and move against those books, like that book of law in your mind, that you will feel a fear. Like it says, breaking the rules in the book of law opens your emotional wounds, and your reaction is to create emotional poison because everything in that book of law has to be true. Anything that challenges what you believe is going to make you feel unsafe. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe.
And we talked about that in the last book discussion. Living is not safe, living is not comfortable, and you are exchanging reality with idealism when you are trying to live a life of safe and comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And so in that, it tells you all the time that you need a great deal of courage to go against your domestication, to go against these beliefs that's been ingrained to you, and to find like a means of being very authentic. I'm gonna read another part that like stood out to me a lot in page 18. Oh, sorry, I have a tiny little hand here. If you
In
guys take away for a
the
second, let me see what's going on. Hold on.
yeah. So my little cute view. So yeah, with that, with the four agreements,
Yeah, sorry.
no worries. Go ahead.
I have tiny little humans who want food. Um, specifically snacks. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I really didn't have nothing to say because
Okay.
I don't have the book. So
All right, right,
I was
right.
just trying to
About the
fill in
book.
the dead space.
Um, so it says, we know we are not what we believe we are supposed to be, and so we feel false, frustrated, and dishonest. We try to hide ourselves and we pretend to be what we are not. The result is that we feel unauthentic, and wear social masks to keep others from noticing this. We are so afraid that somebody else will notice that we are not what we pretend to be. We judge others according to our image of perfection as well, and naturally they fall short of our expectations. We dishonor ourselves just to please other people. We even do harm to our physical bodies just to be accepted by others. So this this again is like going into that thing of like feeling really inauthentic. If you're so domesticated in this life of like trying to live up to the images of society, parents, school, religion, whatever, and you don't have your own personal convictions, you are going to struggle with in this life with inauthenticity. And when you feel that way, um, I feel like that's the thing that puts most people now into a depression.
Wow. Please elaborate. That's interesting.
I feel like, again,
Wow.
I feel like most, we have a thing of like a lot of people, especially now, a lot of younger people, millennials, Gen X, whatever, who suffer with a lot of depression. And a lot of that has to do is because there's a lot of pressure from the world from the beginning all the time. So when we were young, especially if you're a person of color, the big pressure that everybody was telling you is that, hey, you need to go to college, you need to grow up and get a degree, you need to get a career. Most of the people that you know now are not going to graduate college. There's going to be a lot of teen pregnancy. Most of the people are going to be stuck in these generational curses of welfare and low housing, and low income families and blah, blah, blah. And so now you have all this pressure to be the exception, to not be a statistic, um, to be exceptional in school, to be do good in sports, to do well in your grades because you need to go to college to not be a statistic, right? And maybe it wasn't their intention, but they don't know these new seeds that they're planted in your head in elementary school because you do the DARE program in elementary school, like second to fifth grade or something like that. And the interesting thing is that when I graduated college, out of my friends, and I had a very large friend group, I don't
Hmm.
know a single person who did not go to college, you know, and nobody in my friend group got pregnant in high school. Um, most of us do not have kids. The few of us who do have kids are all married. I only know one person who had a child very recently, outside of marriage. Um, and so in these uh rules and regulations that they gave you, you have like probably like this very strict lifestyle that you leave of like trying to constantly move forward, trying to hit those goals of like college and a career and making the money and being a homeowner and having a savings and investing your money and being a millionaire and finding your purpose. And are you working in the thing that makes you purposeful? Like if you're doing the thing that you love, it's not supposed to be feel like work and blah blah blah. And so you have all these things that are fed to you all the time, and you're trying to live up to these standards, and maybe they really just don't suit you. Like maybe of trying to fit into these standards all the time gives you a lot of pressure, and maybe it makes you feel really inauthentic because you're constantly molding and moving yourself in a way to hit these milestones that you think you are supposed to hit, and you don't necessarily have to. Like now we know that college is a business. College is not upper education. A degree will not help you in anything. It will not further your chances of employment or pay. Um, and it is a business. And they had to take a lot of government legal action to protect citizens against this big business that was swindling you out of your money. It was. And so now, as a new society, we realize college may not be the answer. You don't need to go to college. Now we know, like, all those years of those trade schools were very, very important and very, like, instrumental in giving people skills that make them necessary to society, that allowed them to make their own businesses and make their own wealth. And they got rid of a lot of those schools and they took that idea out of people's minds into that you need to go to college and have a degree to be more, valuable in the workplace. And we know that's not true. And so, but you were fed that idea. And now, later, you've gone to college, you have a degree, you don't like the field that you studied for 4, 5, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're like, well, what do? I spent hundreds of, tens of thousands, maybe $100,000 to get this theoretical education to work in this field that I now realize sucks and I don't enjoy. And I have all this debt, and then that's where the depression comes in. Because again, you moved in all these ways that weren't really truthful to yourself. And if you had been a little more authentic, maybe you would have realized, you know what? People probably don't think like a plumber is all that great, of a job.
Yeah,
But if you
okay. Let the
right,
plumbers disappear, okay? Didn't it be said?
exactly. But if you have that skill, you have more of an opportunity to start your own business rather than having a degree in accounting, unfortunately. Air condition repairman has a lot more uh job opportunities and a lot more probably less competition than you think. And a lot bigger field of advantage to make business and to start your own business than a degree in criminal law. You know what I'm saying?
Well, law is one. Law and medical is one that you definitely need a degree in.
Criminal law is not in criminal justice. Criminal justice is
Oh, I
not.
don't even know what that is. Is that not law? I thought that was pre-law. I'm
It
pretty sure
could be,
criminal
but not
justice
necessarily.
is
To go to
pre-law.
law school, you just need a degree.
I'm pretty sure you take criminal justice
You
as a
can,
pre-law student.
but my understanding, to go to law school, you just need a degree.
Yeah, that may be right because I remember Legally Blonde. She
Yeah, I'm
definitely
about to
knew.
say. Her degree was
That may be
okay.
right. I don't know. The funny thing about, or not funny, the interesting thing in hearing you talk about all of this is because although I have my issues, inauthenticity is not one of them. That is not one of them.
No,
So
that's never been your problem.
the funny thing is like to hear you go through this and then go, oh, like on the other side, it ends in depression. And I'm just thinking about my experience for being, and again, I totally understand why people choose to conform. Doesn't mean that I would do it. I don't see the benefit in it, but I do understand why they do, why they do. Because when I think about my experiences, every time that I chose to be authentic and speak up, it had negative consequences. And so if you're looking around at the person who is choosing to speak up and being authentic and they're always getting in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
then of course it will reinforce that you should shut up and just conform. Like it's not that serious.
Mm-hmm.
So but to me, I have a personality with it's just, or not even just personality, because it's not a personality, it's a character and it won't quit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how many times you knock me down. I may stay down for a little while, but I'm getting up. It's no question, okay? I'm
Yeah.
getting up. So it's like, throughout all of these years of me being authentic, and the first answer was always go to the principal's office, go to the principal's office. And I spent my entire life, because it's still like that now, and I'm 36, like spent
Mm-hmm.
my entire life in the principal's office. Somewhere around like 19, I was just like, what? Like, I'm a butterfly and sunshine and roses and like tree hugger type of person, but like this world don't that. Like, they don't respect my love. They don't respect my joy and my goodness. So it turned me into a straight villain. I was like, this what we doing? Let's do it. So I spent like, no, I ain't even gonna say 18. Like, that happened like early teens. I was just like, well,
like,
if y'all
16.
Yeah, if you want to treat me this way, I like
I was
villain.
like, from my remembrance, by 16.
Villain energy all day. Like, if this is what we doing, if you can't respect my unicorns and sunshine and roses, like, I'm villain energy all day. And that went, I would say, from 16 to about 25, 26 until I met a real villain. And then I was like, girl, you was just playing. Sit your ass down. Like, you ain't
Now
sit down.
I'm
Sit
like,
down.
who's the real villain?
I'm sure you know.
Yeah,
but that
I
person,
thought about it for half a second.
that person made me realize, girl, you're the softer side of Sears. Sit down. You're not a villain. Like, sit down. And I was like, okay. And you had to humble me a little bit. I'm not really a villain. But like, yes, I get it. It's like nobody really wants the rejection that comes along with being authentic. It's safer, it's easier, it's more comfortable just to kind of conform, because the people who speak up get consequences.
Yeah, like in our upbringing, which even was very close, like we're very opposite. Like you're saying, like like you've always been very authentic, and I've been like a very good child with that. And so then I struggle with that now. And I tell you all the time, I'm like, if one day if I can just embody that ebony energy, like, oh, like I tell you that all the time. I'm like, one day, I'm gonna just embody that ebony energy, and the whole world gonna change. Like, absolutely, absolutely. So, like, yeah, like it was a learning lesson, even in my very big age. Of learning that and being like, okay, these are the convictions that I have, and also like understanding like there not everything that you have in your brain is a lie, but you have to find your own convictions. And when you find your own convictions, you'll find out, okay, like I agree with this and I don't agree with this. And there's not a problem with you agreeing in one way and somebody else that you admire or love or look up to you feeling a different way. It should be totally fine. But our egos and our personalities have us feel like if we're not totally aligned with the other person, especially in these belief systems, then we can't cohabitate. And that's not true. You're each your own person, and so you should be allowed to have like your own opinions and ideals. There's plenty of times that we talked, and you're A, and I'm just Z. But it's never now in our adult age cause us a problem. We'll just go, okay, like, oh, okay, you know. We'll say, so excuse us, guys. We're both dealing with sicknesses and flus and colds, so that's what Ebony whole panic was there. But anyways, but it's now in like our understanding of that that we can have conversations and be on completely different ends. And we don't agree at the end of the day, even in that conversation, and it's still fine. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you learn, and that can only happen when you learn to be authentic and you learn and grow into your own convictions. But the book is specifically about unlearning those things for yourself, and there's 4 main ways that the books want to teach you in unlearning them. And we're going to go over the first one. Tiny human, excuse me.
Should we stop this video? Because this was a good discussion. We can stop it here.
Actually, I think instead of 4, it's going to be 5. And I'm going to handle
my heavy ass.
Yeah. And then we'll come back and do the next one.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. This is Paris.
This is Ebony.
And this is a podcast with no name. And this is ARD, a real discussion.
All right. See you soon.
See you soon.